It's, I think, in Lancaster.
Oh my, small world?
Yeah. I believe it's Lancaster, or he may have worked in Lancaster, lives somewhere. I'm pretty sure he lives in Lancaster. His parents lived in Kentucky, and that's where we met him in college. His parents, he went to South Harrison High School.
Here are two replicas of the guns used in the Alexander Hamilton Aaron Burr duel. The original pistols are currently with the New York City Bank. Yes, ma'am. Here are various stones. Most of them are tombstones. Nice meeting you too. But here we are in the Blennerhassett Island Museum. There's umpteen many artifacts. They have old cars here. Just if you're a history nerd, there's so much stuff here. My gosh, I don't even know where to begin to talk to you guys about this. We're going to Blennerhassett Island, of course, and that's going to be where most of this video is at. But it's like over here, you have old arrowheads. These arrowheads, I don't believe they were found on the island. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were found on the island. It says the Putnam House or property, and that's on the island.
Let's see. There's your information. But they have just a whole bunch of different artifacts. But yeah, everything, it's really interesting over here. You have a old grain thrasher, and then over here in the corner they have a whole bunch of portraits, and it's some of the more unique things that I've seen in a very long time. Now here at the museum, there is no flash photography allowed because of the UV light that would be emitted during the flash photography process, and the flashes would actually start the disintegration process of a lot of these older portraits. And so luckily, with me videotaping, I don't have to worry about the light. This guy in particular is very interesting, because if you look down here at the label of him, his name is Senator Johnson Newland Camden. If I get around to it, I might see if I can do some research on him before this video is over. But yeah, there is a whole host of various portraits that's been done. They have names on them. I haven't really seen anybody super duper important. Yeah, this is a really interesting place. And the last thing I really want to take you over to is the section over here. The original Blennerhasset mansion actually was burned to the ground. I'll be able to do maybe a little more research and tell you about it a little bit later when we actually go to the island. But that's artist renderings of what the mansion looked like. And the reason why we have that is because we actually have the structural foundation, and we were able to find that through an archaeological excavation of the area. But everything in this case, these are the only things they were able to find from the original house that burned down. And that's why this is really interesting. Only these two shelves were the things they found. And you have a big old sign here. But yeah, we are going to go. Oh, look at at this. This is a death mask of Aaron Burr. Now, this isn't the original, but this is a copy of his death mask. Now, the historical significance behind this is the fact that back in the day they used to take like plaster masks of a dead person's face and save it for posterity's sake. It's one of those things they used to do. So when he died, they made a plaster cast, and this is a copy of that cast. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about Mr. Burr in this video. But yeah, this is the Blennerhassett Island Museum in all its grandeur. I'll take you for an adventure today. This is probably going to be a long video.
It was probably all corporate leaders and trying to balance it, and I had a pretty good staff that was working with me, but they could be pretty difficult to manage at times. So
and that middleman position is pretty tough. Pretty tough.
I was working like 60 hours a week, probably. Some 70, almost 80. It was just I can't do this rest of my life.
Yes, ma'am. Wandering through West Virginia.
Through, not in. Through. Heck no.
I'm sure that if you Googled in or through, it'd probably still come up. So.
Yeah.
What you
In or through. In or through, like wandering in West Virginia or wandering through West Virginia. I figure it'll pop up either way.
Yeah.
Taking a nice video.
Yep. And don't worry, I have ways to get rid of conversations too.
Now you can block out the noise. You can probably play your own background music. You can cut out the sound and then play your own
Actually,
background
at the
music.
end.
That's what I would do.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone aboard the Island Belle. Few safety announcements as we get underway and headed down to the island. There are life jackets on the boat. They're located in life jacket lockers on either side of the pilot house. There's also a locker on the lower deck right inside of the cabin in the front, and then the remainder of the life vests are located underneath of the front stairwells. Also, for those of you who came to the upper deck, please be cautious with these stairs. You may not have noticed how steep these really are, but they're very steep. The treads are not very deep, and the top step is about a quarter of the rest of the stairs. So when you're leaving the boat and disembarking, use the handrails and just take your time on these. It's going to take us about 15 minutes to get to the island. The Island Belle is a real stern wheel boat. It does not have propellers. It does not have thrusters. The only thing that moves us is our paddle wheel. Our paddle wheel is driven hydraulically via a Hagelin motor. It is a very high torque, low speed hydraulic motor that is coupled directly to the paddle wheel shaft. The power unit that's driving our hydraulic system is an electronically controlled John Deere marine generator set. This generator is about 46 kW. We don't use that much power. What we are using is the energy off the front of the engine. We have a very unusual clutch that is bolted to the front of the engine, and it drives the clutch, which then drives our hydraulic pump. This allows us to be able to disengage the pump for any amount of time while we're waiting for passengers to board or disembark. This is a fuel-saving device. The boat itself is very fuel efficient. We burn about 19 gallons of fuel a day. Usually we get the engine started about 9:10 or 9:15, and then we shut it down on most days about 5:30. So that's running that whole time with air conditioning, lights, refrigeration, and moving a boat. Blennerhassett Island is right in front of us. This is the 5th largest island in the Ohio. It's 3.8 miles long. It's about 500 acres of land on this island. This has been owned by many people over the years. The first official owner was George Washington. George was a surveyor for the colony of Virginia. He was here before the Revolutionary War, and he claimed roughly 4,000 acres of land off to the left-hand side of the boat. This claim started just right behind us where the Little Canal flows into the Ohio, and it stretched about 6 miles down the river from where we are now. There's a little community down here on the left. This is called Washington, West Virginia. Now you know why they named it that. After the war was over, George started selling these different claims that he had, and so he ended up selling the island to a gentleman by the name of Elijah Backus. Backus in turn broke this island up into several parcels. He sold the lower parts of this island to farmers on the Ohio shore, and then he sold the upper portion to the Blennerhassets. The island's ownership had been broken up from that point up until 1959. That's when a couple of brothers ended up buying the lower portion of the island, and then from 1959 to 1964 they bought the other pieces and assembled it under one owner. In 1968 they decided to sell the island. They sold it to DuPont, and DuPont is who owns this island today. The reason that DuPont bought the island is they needed a place to drill water wells. There are now 54 water wells over here, all of which pump to a common main, just like you'd find in a municipality. The water is then, it goes all the way to the other end of the island. It crosses underneath the back channel side on the left. It enters into the Washington Works plant of DuPont, is circulated throughout the plant as cooling water, and then is discharged right back into the river. The upper portion of the island, when the brothers owned it, they actually had found several pieces of the mansion where it sat. They found some wells, they found some other things, and they passed this information along to DuPont and the state, and they ended up partnering with each other to build the state park that we have today. So once we get over here, all of the services are available. There's the mansion tour, the wagon tour, there's also the concession stand and the gift shop, so they're all running. We'll be over there in about 10 minutes or so. I'd like to thank you very much for including Blennerhassett in your plans. If you have any questions, you can ask one of us. We'll be glad to answer them for you, and hope you enjoy your stay at one of West Virginia's state parks. Thank you.